Why is it best not to live in these houses? Why do restaurants opened here easily get involved in lawsuits? Why does this store have issues with customer flow? Why is this house better than the one next to it? This video will help you avoid most common pitfalls in everyday Feng Shui. I'll start with the underlying principles to teach you how to understand Feng Shui, so you can select a home that benefits wealth, health, and family. Let's start with an example, road rush, which refers to a road directly facing a house. It could be a highway, an ordinary city road, or even a pedestrian-only path. This is a Feng Shui issue almost everyone knows about, and many say road rush is bad, but very few can clearly explain the underlying logic. What exactly is bad about road rush? What does it actually affect? And what kind of road rush is acceptable? I have personally witnessed a driver on their phone swerve onto the sidewalk. Second, do car headlights frequently shine into your home? When you're sleeping, constant light exposure directly affects your sleep. When you're thinking, studying, or working, occasional flashes of light can distract you and reduce efficiency. Even when you're doing nothing and just relaxing at home, a sudden beam of light can startle you, keeping your nerves on edge. You might not even realize it, but it prevents you from truly relaxing. The sounds produced by cars, such as honking, engine noise, and tires screeching, randomly disturb your home. The harmful gases emitted by cars, including exhaust fumes, as well as the wind brought by vehicles heading straight toward your house, all contribute to negative energy, keeping your body in an uncomfortable state. Houses facing road rush bear the brunt of these hazards and are the most affected. No two houses in the world are exactly the same. Only by understanding the underlying principles of road rush can you analyze specific situations when choosing a house, rather than applying rules rigidly. For example, do these count as road rush? These roads are only diagonally facing the house. Yes, they still count because they can cause the negative effects mentioned above. For instance, if a road directly faces a house but is separated by a considerable distance, does it still count as road rush? Yes, but it doesn't need to be a major concern because the distance reduces the negative impact. This is called transforming negative energy into utility, turning potential harm into an advantage. This is how we should understand a Feng Shui phenomenon. The general principle of good Feng Shui can be broadly understood as placing people in a comfortable and relaxed state. A person's energy is limited. If precious energy is constantly drained for no reason, or if one remains in a state of mental tension, preventing proper recovery, the body will suffer. Family relationships may deteriorate, poor investment decisions may be made, and financial luck may decline. The impact is comprehensive. This is why almost all wealthy people I know place great importance on Feng Shui. Of course, good Feng Shui is not just about creating a comfortable and relaxed state. It also involves harnessing the principles of natural order to positively and profoundly impact one's career and personal life. I won't delve into the deeper aspects in this video, as they require foundational knowledge and an understanding of the I Ching. The theme of this video is a Feng Shui guide to help ordinary people avoid pitfalls. I believe that by the end of this video, you'll be able to steer clear of many common mistakes. That's my goal. Second, avoiding Sha. The general rule for selecting a house is the front should be open and expansive. The back should be slightly elevated. The left should be higher than the right. However, no direction should be excessively high or low. If it's too low, wind or negative energy can directly rush in. If it's too high, it creates pressure, making one feel intimidated and stressed. Living in such a house can keep a person in a prolonged state of tension. That covers the first principle. Now, let's move on to the second principle. This refers to a curved road or waterway beside a residence or building, shaped like a bow, with the curved part facing the structure. Simply put, the building is located on the outside of the arc, like this. Essentially, reverse bow Sha can be seen as a variant of road rush Sha. Vehicles on this road travel forward along the tangent line, so buildings outside the arc are constantly in a state of road rush. The risks of vehicles losing control and crashing into the house, disturbances from lights, noise, exhaust fumes, and the harmful effects of Sha all negatively impact houses affected by reverse bow Sha, affecting the physical and mental health of the occupants. Once you understand the principle of reverse bow Sha, you can make judgments when choosing a house. For example, consider this building affected by reverse bow Sha. Will the higher floors still be affected? Yes, because the influences of light, noise, and Sha remain, although the impact lessens as the floor level increases. For instance, if there is a small 3 to 4 meter high hill between this house and the road, does it still count as reverse bow Sha? Basically not, because the hill blocks most of the effects of reverse bow Sha. Cars can't crash through, and most of the Sha is blocked. Refer to the case at the beginning of the video. This is a very common neighborhood layout abroad, with only one entrance exit at the end of a road, and houses arranged in a circle around the cul-de-sac. Are the houses here on the outside of the road's curve affected by reverse bow Sha? Yes, but the impact is much smaller because very few vehicles enter, their speed is slow, and the Sha is very weak. In fact, the houses next to it are more affected by road rush Sha than by reverse bow Sha. Iron tower Sha refers to the presence of an iron tower near the house. When a residence faces an iron tower or the tower creates a pressing force nearby, it forms iron tower Sha. Iron towers are often accompanied by high-voltage power lines. I won't discuss whether high-voltage power lines create harmful magnetic fields, as that topic is somewhat controversial. First, high-voltage power lines themselves pose dangers. Extreme weather like strong winds or freezing rain could cause power lines to break, leading to electric shocks or fires. Some might say the probability is low, but you can observe for yourself how many high-quality residential communities built right next to high-voltage power lines and iron towers. Moreover, no matter how safe high-voltage power lines are, standing beneath them can make people tense and uncomfortable. Think back or try it yourself. It's a human instinct to feel uneasy in the face of potential danger. If your house is right next to high-voltage power lines, even if you think you've adapted or don't mind, you're likely still in a constant state of subconscious tension. Iron towers are typically made of metal and often have a triangular, tall, and sharp structure. Metal is inherently rigid, and the triangular, sharp shape of the tower intensifies this quality. This latent aggressiveness makes people feel tense and uncomfortable. Imagine walking next to sharp objects like triangular steel plates or someone holding scissors. Would you feel relaxed or slightly tense? Humans naturally feel wary and uncomfortable around sharp objects. Additionally, the structure of the iron tower fragments the space. The view through the tower appears broken, creating a sense of dilapidation that can negatively affect people over time. For this house, there's an iron tower with high voltage, power lines about 300 meters away on the left. Does this count as iron tower Shah? The impact is minimal because of the distance, and the tower appears smaller in the line of sight. The potential danger, tension, discomfort, and sense of dilapidation all diminish. It's absolutely not the case that just being able to see an iron tower from your house means it's iron tower Shah. Each situation must be analyzed specifically. Shah. This refers to the negative impact on residents caused by pillar-like objects in the immediate environment, either inside or outside the home, that directly confront them. Corner Shah mainly refers to the situation where external corners of buildings or structures are aimed directly at a residence. Sometimes it's the corner of a building, other times it's a corner formed by roads. Sharp angles are particularly potent. When wind or negative energy flows along the two sides of a building, it merges at the corner and shoots straight forward. Additionally, the discomfort caused by sharp angles is a significant factor. As explained in the Iron Tower Shah section, humans are naturally tense and uncomfortable around sharp, pointed objects. I believe that by this point in your learning, you already understand the causes of corner Shah on a much deeper level than most people. Therefore, I won't go into excessive detail. Please assess the following examples. Which ones constitute corner Shah? Whether formed by roads or buildings, and regardless of the direction they face the house, all of these are considered corner Shah. Sometimes you might encounter this situation. Two buildings positioned staggered from each other, with this wall almost perpendicular to your own house. This is very common in cities. This is called wall blade Shah. It can actually be viewed as a special type of corner Shah, where wind or negative energy travels along that wall and directly impacts your own house. These situations all require remedial measures. Just because your five senses cannot detect it. I once saw a house where a water pipe ran above the bedroom, producing frequent sounds of flowing water. This affected sleep, was very distracting, and greatly drained the homeowner's energy. These are all influences of heart-piercing sha. Some types of heart-piercing sha can be remedied, but others, like a subway passing directly underneath a building, are very difficult to mitigate and are best avoided altogether. Consider this case study. I rejected this particular property solely because there was a waste processing station located not far to the right of the balcony. Although the principle behind odor sha is straightforward, it is particularly difficult to resolve or mitigate. While some types of sha can be remedied, odor sha is one that can often only be avoided, not easily neutralized. Therefore, it demands careful attention. Furthermore, the impact of odor sha is quite distinct. For instance, with road rush, if there are hills, woods, or other barriers, its effect can be significantly reduced, sometimes even to a negligible level. Therefore, when selecting a property, don't just look at its immediate surroundings. Investigate the broader environment within a 500-meter radius. Pay particular attention to the presence of waste processing stations, polluted drains, etc. within this area. Walk around the neighborhood extensively and carefully assess whether any potential sources could negatively impact the property. Reflection sha refers to sha formed when a building or residence is subjected to strong reflected light. In modern cities, reflection sha caused by glass curtain walls is quite common. The principle is simple, and I believe you can now understand it based on the concepts covered, so I won't elaborate further. The types mentioned above are common forms of external sha, primarily originating from outside the house. There are also some common issues related to the interior layout of a property. The first common issue doesn't have a technical term, it's simply dirt and clutter. In my practical experience, every time I see a particularly dirty or cluttered house, I can almost directly conclude that the health of the people living there is poor and that they are prone to financial leakage. You might have heard similar sayings before. Today, I'll explain the underlying principles clearly. A dirty and cluttered house harbors food residues in every nook and cranny, breeding mosquitoes, insects, rodents, pests, strange odors, and mold. Living in such an environment long-term undoubtedly makes one more susceptible to illness or a suboptimal health state. This reasoning is understandable to everyone. But why does it lead to financial leakage? The first reason stems from the illness and poor health mentioned above. People in poor health need to spend money on medical treatment. When sick, they often have to pause their career or work, leading directly to financial loss. Secondly, people living in a dirty, cluttered environment are subconsciously in a state of mental tension, constantly draining their energy. Imagine living in such a place. You need something but can't find it. You struggle to remember where you put it, then rummage through the entire house. Once or twice might be manageable, but being constantly in this state has a significant impact. Even walking requires caution, afraid of knocking something over or stubbing your toe on a piece of wood sticking out. Your mind is constantly on edge, unknowingly consuming mental energy. Over time, you just feel tired. With depleted energy, you are more prone to errors in work and investment, and opportunities might slip by. Isn't this financial leakage? Thirdly, people and their environment interact. A dirty, cluttered environment is certainly created by the person, reflecting their chaotic thinking. Conversely, the cluttered environment also reacts upon the person. Even a clear-thinking person can become disorganized after living long in clutter, and someone already chaotic becomes worse. In a state of confused thinking, one tends to be imprudent and irrational in both personal spending and company costs, generating many unnecessary expenses. It's not that they can't earn money, but that their spending is high, causing wealth to drain away needlessly. Note, it doesn't need to be spotlessly clean. That's obsessive-compulsive disorder. Nor must everything be placed with absolute precision. That's also a form of compulsion. However, it should at least be tidy and orderly for the reasons I've explained. With no obstruction in between, the path is straight, creating a direct draft. In such cases, it's easy for a person's chi field and energy to become scattered and dissipated. The harm of a straight-through draft goes beyond this. It is particularly prone to causing illness. A straight-through draft entering and exiting from different directions can lead to various adverse consequences. Some might easily lead to extramarital affairs, others to specific types of illnesses, and some even to accidental injuries, etc. I won't go into detail here. In short, it's unfavorable. Please try to avoid it whenever possible. If you have already bought a house with this layout, you can use a screen or other partition to block the direct path to resolve it. The fourth common issue inside a house is the bathroom directly facing the main door. Actually, as a place of impurity, having the bathroom anywhere in the house is less than ideal. In the past, bathrooms were always placed outside the main living quarters, often in the courtyard. But this isn't possible with modern building designs. Having the bathroom directly facing the main door is especially unfavorable. It's the first thing anyone sees upon entering, creating an impression of uncleanliness. Furthermore, because the bathroom is directly connected to the main door, it can easily form an airflow circuit, allowing odors and dampness from the bathroom to disperse more readily throughout the house. These are all negative aspects. Of course, it's best to avoid buying such a house in the first place if possible. That concludes our discussion on avoiding Sha. When you start consciously creating a more favorable chi field environment, when you begin living and working within a better Feng Shui setting, that is the best possible start, a sign of destiny's gears turning towards smoother paths. Good luck!